I'm not a computer scientist, I'm not a scientist. My background is in social sciences. I now work in Arts and Humanities Research Council, but very much in an interdisciplinary way, very collaboratively. And this also expressed through my role in UKRI theme on building a secure and resilient world. There I lead a program, and HRC provides leadership for the theme, but we do it in a very collaborative way. As I will talk today, I mentioned a few times, it's highly interdisciplinary, and most of our programs are led, all of them are led by different councils in collaboration with each other and in collaboration with partners from outside the UKRI, including government departments. This is very important for us. There was a question before about the uptake, about the relevance to policy, and I think this collaboration from design point of view to delivery is very important from stakeholders from across government at local and central levels, but also other partners in industry, for example. I will just wanted to start by saying that I really welcome this year's conference topic. Of course, it chimes with the theme itself, and it's very timely because we are very much in the beginning of the sort of 5 to 6 year cycle of the theme. And DAFNI is, or investment particularly in Centre of Excellence for Resilience Infrastructure Analysis, is one of the first investments, or possibly actually the first investment that we are making under the theme. And I think there is a lot of logic behind it because we talked about the importance of data, high quality data, the challenges that it presents in terms of high quality metadata, data linkage, but also ensuring that we have the space and platform for data modeling, for data analysis, for collaborations. And I think DAFNI includes all of these aspects that the theme is a theme is trying to achieve as well through its various endeavors that we're planning. And so I really welcome the opportunity to talk about it and today. I'll just start with a brief overview of the strategic themes. And I apologize if many of you already know about that, but I think it's quite important again to fit in, to place resilience in the broader context of what UKRI is trying to achieve. So we published a strategy, UKRI strategy last year, and it outlines 5 strategic themes, and they all kind of tackle different challenges. And we're looking at sort of societal and global challenges, and they're running from sort of about 5 to 6 years. We're starting first investments this year and up to 29. So building a green future, building a secure and resilient world, creating opportunities and improving outcomes, tackling infections. And the title suggests, of course, that they're looking at the issues that are not UK specific. But at the same time, we also acknowledge that the solutions to all these issues start at a very hyper level, start from individuals, from communities, and then escalating up to the national and international level. So all these levels need to be tackled. So the investment spans across 5 years, and each of the theme received 75 million of UKRI funding. This is not the all funding that each of the theme received. It's very important to acknowledge that each of the programs under Secure and Resilient World theme, but also other themes, attracts quite a lot of investments from individual councils, their core budgets, but also co-funding from outside the UKRI. So 75 million is only a fraction. But at the same time, it's also, we recognize it's quite a small amount in comparison to what these challenges are in terms of the level of investment that is required to tackle, to find all possible solutions. Hence, we, of course, recognize that we need to be very targeted and target our investments where we can particularly add value. And doing it through collaborative and interdisciplinary approaches. So we realize that, of course, that we build all individual themes on long-lasting investments that existed in all these areas, and they will continue to be pursued by individual councils, either by themselves or in collaboration. In developing the themes, we emphasize the importance of collaborative approaches where we can add value to already existing investments or where we address particular gaps. It's fair to say that while all themes, they tackle specific challenges, they also sort of work hand to hand in tackling kind of complexities of what we're facing as individuals, as communities, nations, and at a global scale. And I think it's not because I'm wearing resilience hat on, but it's actually you can see that how all of them contribute individually or in collaboration to make our societies more resilient. And through, where possible, through prevention, it's not always a given, but where possible, that prevention mechanism is, for example, when we talk about tackling infections or creating opportunities and improving outcomes, but also better preparedness, well-informed and swift response. So resilience is a good example, I think, of kind of cutting across all the themes, and they're not to be all viewed as a kind of in a separate box, but very much interconnected. And on a practical level, we have a number of investments that are funded from more than one theme. So each theme address major national and global challenges, and we take a shared approach of how we do that, and all themes, as I mentioned already, highly collaborative. None of them is looking at issues from a sort of particular discipline or set of disciplines. And all have funding opportunities that involve multiple councils and other external partners. I think that's quite important for us, the issue of the uptake. We don't internalize as research councils, but from the very early stages of development, the content of the themes, the emphasis of the themes was developed in collaboration with external partners. But there is, of course, more to be done as we evolve. And so all leverage external funding, and this is something that we aspire to do more. And all programming that I'll mention today is not set in stone, and we have a lot of flexibility inbuilt as well in funding. So global nature of challenges provide a logical ground for internationalization. But here again, I must say that we all recognize all 5 themes that we need to do more in terms of international partnerships and international collaboration. So we started very much from the point of the view of the UK, but we have some good examples where we already started building international partnerships and leveraging funding from international partners. So there is a clear sort of common set of objectives and ambitions and shared between the themes, and there's a lot of dialogue between the themes as well on where we could maximize input, where we could do things together, maybe through joint funding, putting together funding under auspices of one theme. And the outcome, I think, is more resilient societies and more resilient world. So it doesn't sit under one theme, I would argue. And the context within which the theme has evolved, and it's nothing new here, is so emerged in a kind of volatile, uncertain, complex, and often ambiguous world, using VUCA analogy. And the nature of challenges is ever-changing. So they are very diverse, they are multifaceted, and we stretch from conventional warfare to financial crises to natural disasters. And they often, of course, have a long-term effect on populations. And they create new fragilities, but also exacerbate existing fragilities. So it's quite a challenge. But we think that research, of course, has a lot to offer in finding the solutions. And all these challenges, so I think the interconnectivity has been mentioned a few times today. They are not seen to be individual risks, but actually more value of how we can see understand the spillover effects of one risk to another and address those accordingly. So Another factor that, and it's where data particularly is important, that of course we know that most of the shocks we encounter are repeated, and we can learn from that. We don't really do it on a regular basis. We can do more here, and so that we can be better prepared to respond. And it all sounds like a lot of common sense, but it doesn't happen necessarily on a regular basis. So learning from the past is really important, but it's where access to high quality, robust data becomes even more important, and usability of that data and easy access and data connectivity. So we are breaking the barriers between different types of data that might sit in different data services, and hence my question, and I realize the complexity of doing that. I wanted to emphasize again another aspect of the theme, which is really important to us. In addition to taking the systems approach, which has already been mentioned many times, I think it's really important to emphasize that throughout the theme, we really push towards taking a human-centric approach to risks, to solutions, because we understand that it's not only that at the moment of the input where most of the risks are anthropogenic by nature, but it's also the solutions that need to have that human-centered approach at their heart, because otherwise they will not be lasting. So we can't build models that will not work in a particular set of circumstances in particular communities. And communities are very diverse, and there where arts and humanities and social sciences play such an important role to understand the differences, that one can't create a model that will work in one end of the town and it might fail in another. And there are multiple factors there, including sort of cultural underpinning, including behavioral patterns, and so on. It's really important to understand, and hence the human-centric approach is so important. So very briefly about the 5 sub-themes, and I think that the slides will be also available, so just to demonstrate the breadth of it. On one hand, on the other hand, we also realize that the issue of security and resilience is so broad, we can't possibly address everything within the time frame and within the budget that we have. So we had to take some tough choices, and that was made in a very collaborative way, not just within UKRI, but importantly in conversation with our partners. So in the stretch from very kind of geopolitical context and understanding of our relationships with some parts of the world, particularly where that uncertainty might come more and affect more UK, but also technologies and behavioral and cultural resilience I already mentioned, to understand that underpinning how we can become more resilient through the behavioral patterns. And so DAFNI is of course an integral part of it, and I'll just very quickly show that. And I want to, this is an example of investments that we are planning, and they are again very collaborative. They are led by individual councils, but it includes lots of complex collaborations here. And I would say that even if DAFNI kind of is put under the technologies resilience for resilience, security and defense, of course, we see it as a cross-cutting investment. It particularly speaks very well to secure supply chains, but also strengthen resilience in natural and built environment, but not only. And important aspect, and I think Brian mentioned that, is a cross-cutting investment that we're looking at, that will, a research and coordination hub that is being commissioned at the moment, that will bring together different investments that might seem quite on a very spectrum, in a more together in a programmatic way. And each of the investments have flexibility built in there. You might be familiar with the Network Plus model, where we do not allocate all funding from the start, but the investments themselves then commission new research, knowledge exchange programs, responding to the emerging needs in this volatile context. So I'll finish here. I have another slide, what we're trying to achieve, where we try to be in 5 or 6 years' time. It's a journey, of course, but I think we're on a good trajectory here. Thank you.